Hey, good morning, Foothill Church. It's good to be with you again this morning. Us here in the Dobransky household sure miss each of you, and we are eagerly looking forward to the day that we will get to be back together with you. But until then, this morning I wanted to share with you something that's just encouraged me as we've read. I've read through the book of John over the past spring semester with a group of ladies. It's been so encouraging, and I wanted to share with you specifically from John chapter 11 today. John 11 is the passage where Jesus heals Lazarus from the dead, a well-known passage for a good reason. But at the beginning of that chapter, Jesus is not with Lazarus, or Lazarus is the brother of Mary and Martha. You may have remembered from reading in the Bible, and he's not with them. He's a little ways away, and he gets word that Lazarus is sick, and he tells his disciples, and in verse 4 he says, "This illness does not lead to death. It is for the glory of God, so that the Son of God might be glorified through it." And then in verse 5, he says, I want to read to you verses 5 and 6. He says, "Now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. So when he heard that Lazarus was ill, he stayed for 2 days longer in the place where he was." And when we read that, I thought, well, that's just weird. Why does it say he loved them so much? And then it follows it up with, and so he stayed in the place he was, not with them, for 2 days longer. And, we talked about it, and I read some things about it and really started to think about what God does with us in the time of waiting. I think there's more here. I think that Jesus was clearly on the timeline that God the Father had given him, and he didn't just react to things and say, oh, we have to go here, we have to go here. He was planned, and he was intentional. We've seen that all through the book of John. So I think there's a lot there, but I do also think that there was something in it for Mary and Martha in the waiting. If Jesus had rushed right there, he would have gotten there before Lazarus had actually died, and God would not have been glorified in the same way, but his plan was to raise Lazarus from the dead. And so he let Mary and Martha wait. And they waited a couple days before he even started to head their way. And I started thinking about, friends, we are in the waiting. We are in the time of what some call the already and the not yet, meaning that Christ has already died. He's already come and he's died on the cross, but he has not yet returned again. And so we find ourselves here on this earth in this time of in-between waiting. And we walk through things like COVID-19 and job losses and sickness and a lot of unknown, and we're waiting. We find ourselves waiting. And so God has really challenged me that what might he be doing in the waiting? For Mary and Martha, I think he was busy strengthening their faith and allowing them to experience the great joy that comes from a miraculous healing. A.W. Pink said this. He said about this passage, he said, "It is beautiful to behold that his delay, Jesus' delay, was also in full keeping with his love for Mary and Martha. Among other things, Christ designed to strengthen the faith of these sisters by suffering to endure the bitterness of death in order to heighten its subsequent joy. His love wittingly delays that it may more gloriously console them after their sufferings." You see, if Mary and Martha had not experienced the bitterness of death, then their subsequent joy would not have been as great. And so as we see and feel the brokenness in our own hearts, in our world, and we grieve for things that are either lost or broken, or sick or dying, we that much more long for the restoration that Christ promises. We that much more long for the redemption and the restoring of this earth that is to come in the future when Christ comes again. And so I pray that in our waiting, we can ask the Lord, what are you doing now? What are you strengthening in me? What are you stirring up in me that my faith may be strengthened? But we also can cast our minds to the future where God promises that one day he will make all things new. And so now we wait, but we wait trusting that God is at work, that he is doing it on purpose, that he knows the time and the hour at which our waiting will end. And we wait with hope, knowing that God has promised that there will be an end. There will be a time when this earth is restored, when things are made new, and when all is set back to how it should be. And so I encourage you to read John chapter 11. There's so much more in there. Jesus weeps with them and feels them and has compassion for them. But I want to share that with you today. I love you guys, and hope you have a great day. Bye.